All right, hello. What I have here in front of me is, well, it's a good time to start a live with a helicopter going over. Here, let me show you what I got. All right, so this was our worm farm, worm bin. It's empty now, but you can still see some worms climbing around in there. I dumped it out in here. And this is 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch mesh. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just sifting through it, getting all the worms out, which there's probably a lot that have fallen through at this point now. Doing that and then pushing any of the clumps through so that I can start to collect the vermicast or worm castings, worm poop, and then we'll put it on the garden, or at least on the plants that could use it. So you go through this, you kind of pull them out. See no chunks that have any worms in them, and you just take them. You see right there, and then just push them through like that. So just pushing through a bunch of this, and then once I have a little bit, I'll collect it and I'll go show you kind of how we go put it on plants. But we're trying not to hurt any of the worms in the process. So I'm trying to collect all the worms and get them in. So kind of just rifling through. You know, if you've ever done worms before, or you ever had them and had a little worm farm before, these ones look like they've gotten pretty pale, or like this orangish color compared to like the pink that they usually are. So if you ever had them and you know what that's about, please let me know, because I know that this is already wetter than it probably should be, and it doesn't need to be this wet, but I'd be interested to hear if anyone else knows maybe why that's happening, because they're the red wigglers, composting worms, and they're usually pretty pink, so that was kind of a little bit surprising to me. But I'm just trying to go through and just push through all of the worm castings. It doesn't smell like you think it would. It actually kind of smells like turkey gravy. Just kind of threw me off because it smelled kind of bad initially, but now it smells fine. So just anytime I can find worms, pop them in this, and then I'm gonna refill my worm bin over there. That way there's some worms that I can start another batch with. This has been worm composting for, I don't know, like maybe a year now. And I've just been feeding it and just never really wanted to harvest it yet because I was kind of avoiding this part of it, but you know, we're here now. So if you're a fan of worms and you want to do this, it really is super simple. I have a little tiny tote. It's like something you can get from Home Depot, Ace Hardware, Walmart. Put a bunch of brown waste in it, so leaf clippings or grass clippings from your lawn, newspaper, cardboard, all that kind of stuff. The worms can actually break it down, and they can break down some more of the harmful chemicals and compounds that are in some of those things, like the newspaper or cardboard, and it's proven to still be really healthy for your garden. So they're pretty amazing. They're, you know, probably similar to like the way in which they break things down is like how, you know, fungi and things like that break things down. So we've thrown complete mangoes in here. This is a mango pit, which actually in the past I've had a full-on mango tree grow from it. My mango tree's over there now, and I had it in the worm bin, and it just got a little tiny crack of light and grew. It's like a 3-foot tree now. So the worms make a perfect living space for things to grow, and it's highly packed with nutrients for your plants, and they actually help your soil retain nutrients longer. So the leaching of nutrients from fertilizers doesn't leave the soil as quickly as it would by having worm castings in it. So when you make like a fertilizer, honestly, if you made a fertilizer and it was like 50% worm castings and then the fertilizer added into it, you'd probably be keeping a lot of the nutrients in there that much longer for the plants that you're fertilizing. But just collecting all the worms. They're all red wigglers. I don't think we have any earthworms in here. In an older setup, we used to have earthworms, but now we just have these little red wigglers. And so I'm going through. There's a good little cluster of them. You see them right there. Yeah. And just pop them all in there. Take out those chunks. And just to keep this live a little short, I'll show you what it looks like below now. So take this whole grate off. Okay. All right, let's take this phone and I'll show you. All right, so this is what we're working with now down here. You can see all this stuff's a lot looser and crumbly. It's probably what you're looking for. It'd be nice if there wasn't the cockroaches in it, but that's just kind of hard to avoid. We'll grab any of the extra worms out, which honestly, if you're putting a little bit of the worm castings in to your garden and you're adding some worms, that's not the end of the world either, you know? So here's a little live action real quick. My dad cleaning out the window on the second story right there. I guess they're cleaning windows today. So that's the yelling, and if you hear a really loud yell, that's him falling out. No, he should be okay. All right, so we got some of those worms. So we'll take some of these worm castings, all these, which have been storing up for that time. And maybe the only thing that you see that isn't really broken down is the eggshells. Those take a little bit longer. Often we'll dry those and then we'll put them into the dehydrator or just into our garden, into our oven, and then we'll use a powder, and that breaks down a lot better. But we'll take some of these worm castings, get a little scoopful, and the one tree that I've been really wanting to put them on is our tangerine tree, which absolutely loves them and has been struggling for a time now. It just needs a little extra love, so I'll put you right there and move some of this away. Back some of this grass that's been really picking on it. And I added a bunch of sand here, so we'll just put some of those worm castings in here, some of the worms, cover them up, mix them in, and honestly, if we had a couple gallons, that would be most ideal. So some people do really big worm gardens. We've just had little ones because we already have chickens. So I'll show you right over here. We have the chicken set up right in here, and they get almost all of our green waste, all of our food scraps, all that kind of stuff, and then any of the extras we just give to the worms. So the worms will get the extra. They're in here. They'll get the extra things, but they're very similar to chickens. They don't like onions. They don't like really heavy sauces, spicy stuff. They like kind of bland foods. They don't really like citrus all that much. So here's just a real quick little look at some of the things we're feeding them. We've got a little bit of chili. We've got just some pulp from making almond milk, some pasta, some blueberries, and some more eggshells. So we just take this, put it on one side, kind of like a feeding corner in their little area, and that way all the worms will have kind of a designated eating side, and then after they're done eating, hopefully you can take all the poop that's on the other side and then pull that out, and then you don't have to do this whole process where you dump the whole thing out and sift it everywhere. But just thought I'd show you really quick because we've been growing or having this worm farm for close to a year now, and it has been a while since I've actually gotten them out and then sifted them in here now. But I think we'll probably get a couple pounds in total. I'll show you right on my shoulder. Probably get a couple pounds down in here. It's all really light and fluffy, and maybe we can give some of it to the chickens for a little bit, and they can pluck out some of the cockroaches first, and then we can go put them on because cockroaches kind of eat the roots of your plants, so kind of better not to have those. But we also keep some like centipedes in the garden. I know, kind of scary, but they do really good at keeping pests out that eat your roots, like grubs and cockroaches and stuff like that. So I'm gonna be right here. I'm gonna keep on sifting, but I just wanted to show you really briefly what our process was, and also kind of just seeing like what our haul was. This is probably less than half of what I have in here is what's actually gonna be sifted out over there. And then I'm gonna refill it. So I'm gonna add some grass clippings, dry leaves, a bunch of newspaper that I have, and some corrugated cardboard, which is a really good home for the worms. They like to make little pockets in there. And then I'll add some of the food scraps that are right over there on that corner, and I'll add those in. And then the worms will be able to kind of start their next cycle of turning our food scraps and junk into just food for our plants. So it's a really easy little thing to do. It does not take a whole lot to add in, but we are gonna be doing this while we can, while the worms are still active and pumping. Before I hop off here, I've got a couple quick little comments. Hey from Hamstreak and Richard and Heidi Cameron, good friends who used to live here. France, ? Sounds like a great adventure. Yeah, for those of you who didn't see our most recent video, we will be going to Europe in a month from today, today pretty much. We'll be landing in France first, and we'll be on the Brittany coast area, going to markets, interviewing farmers, learning about their stories, why they are farming, why they go to villages, why they live that lifestyle, learning and helping, pretty much volunteering on their farms and then just filming it and telling their stories. So we're really excited to go and do that. We think it's gonna be a lot of fun, and we're not technically French, although we have a little bit of French in her on my wife's side. But we're gonna go to some other countries like Belgium, the UK, Norway, Denmark, and a couple other. We're just gonna be hopping around and trying to learn more about our ancestry, since we've embraced Hawaii our entire lives. It's the culture that I feel the most connected to, but it's not my ancestry. So we're very excited to go and learn more about that, visit some grave sites of some of our ancestors who were the last ones in these European countries before they immigrated over to America. But yeah, a little off topic, but thank you for bringing that up, Heidi. And I'm gonna keep doing this, get my hands dirty, and hopefully not ruining the smell of my fingers when I eat dinner tonight. Thank you guys for watching, and we're gonna hop off if I can remember how to end this video. Appreciate you guys watching. Oh, appreciate the comment, Hamstreak. Very nice. Gustavo, hello lad, good vid. Appreciate it. Appreciate you guys. And Guy.